come a little closer and lend me your ears. Don't worry, you keep yours while I keep mine.
In each episode, we'll dig into the major stories, uncover the truth, and retrieve gems from Yada's blog.
We'll discuss what's right, bark about what's wrong, wag our tails at the thrill of discovery, and take you on adventures through the exciting world we live in today.
So, fasten your curiosity leash and get ready.
Right then, coming to you with another episode of the Yada's Vlog on a Blog. Tomorrow's news, disseminated today. Let's dive in.
Well, welcome to the Vlog on the Blog, our own unique twist on the news. A couple of program notes before we begin. Well, I think everybody knows that I dearly love the Wookiee's introduction, and I can tell you that the Wookiee is sincere. The last 24 hours, the Wookiee has never been more than 3 feet from my side. We are going to replace, though, however, the Wookiee introduction. I've seen Leia's rewrite. It's not going to be an animated dog. I think it's very, very cute, but the issues that the world is facing, particularly Israel, are just not properly set off by it. So we're going to do a show that is as Yahweh would want it. It's me totally and completely exposed as who I am and the job that I have to do for God's people. Sorry, Wook, but you are going to get replaced on that. But you went out as a hero. Yesterday was really an extraordinary day. I passed a kidney stone yesterday. That's not something you would normally talk about being news, but it really is a learning experience. I had forgotten how devastating pain can be on one's brain and body, but it's really an extraordinary thing. Kidney stones are ranked as the single most excruciating thing that people endure. Even women who have delivered difficult pregnancies will rate kidney stones as more severe than that. I've actually suffered more severe pain than that twice. Once when I broke my collarbone and could not get medical treatment for 24 hours. It was on a business trip that was just essential that I perform the next morning. And I did, and then had to fly back in my own plane to a surgeon to hear the bad news is there's nothing they can do for a broken collarbone. You just endure the pain. And that was pretty excruciating. The most excruciating pain I ever had in my life was when I got malaria. Your cells literally burst. And while a kidney stone is isolated to a certain area of your body, it goes from the lower abdomen to your groin, either on the right side or the left side, and occurs in waves, so that you have periods of intensity of pain that's a 10, and times when it's a 7 or a 6. And malaria is not that way. It is so excruciating. You roll up into a ball, you can't move. I was yelling at the pain, trying to release it. You know how the he breathing of a pregnant woman, you are expressing the pain in yelps to get it out, breathing it out. But with malaria, you can't breathe in, so you can't breathe out. So, and malaria is a longer experience. It's always intense, and it's your entire body, from every fiber of your hair all the way down to your toenails is exploding. And so that was a worse experience. That was an experience where I actually wanted to die. And, it was painful enough yesterday that you say, all right, if I have this incorrectly diagnosed and it's an appendix or gallbladder, that is the problem, then without medical treatment on this island, we don't have a functional hospital, then I'm probably done and I get to go home early. It was an interesting experience because I was so comfortable with leaving. In fact, I said, this is great. Boy, we've got a team in place that'll take it to the harvest, and I'll get a little longer time to get up to snuff before returning. I was delighted with it. Rich, not so much, and Leia, not at all. But it was an interesting experience on just how comfortable I was with that outcome. But here we are. It passed 7:30 in the morning to 3:30 in the afternoon, and I learned a lot. And just learning how much my thinking apparatus, the way that you process information and convey it with words, was detrimentally impacted. That was really quite an eye opener. Adrenaline can help you focus
in short spurts, yeah.
But in short spurts, but pain like this, no, it was just it was very difficult. Leah was constantly offering this suggestion. I just kept on saying, no, I am not able to think this through. If you've got a plan, then you have to execute your plan. I'm not going to call and chit chat with the doctor. It's just not possible. And so it was an interesting experience. I'm actually, now that it's over, I'm glad that it's over, but I'm really sore and really tired having gone through it. The other update is that yesterday my plan was to start editing these 3 books, Coming Home 4, 5, and 6. I have finished 2 of the 3 of them. Really finished 4, but I think I'm going to go back. 4 is a little short for me. It's only 425 pages, and we have other books that are that short. But I think that it would be better if I added at least one Mizmor and maybe a Mashal to it, just to make it a little more in keeping with the length of the books that we typically. The other 2 books are 650 and 750 pages, so they're more keeping with what is common. I've got to do the superscripts on 2 of the books, which is a burdensome process. And then we are entering the edits, and that's what I'm doing right now. I'm entering DC's edits. She is actually a really talented copy editor. In fact, I would say of the group, everybody has their differences. JK has been my most loyal and supportive, and just rigorously effective copy editor, and knows my style and inside and out, and he's really good. And I'm entering his, and Mike is the ultimate and being a fact checker, also a very good copy editor. But he's even better and gifted at fact checking, which is important when you write as much as I do. And then we have several more that are really making a tremendous contribution to this process. And so that's what I'm doing right now is entering the edits. And I'll be doing that for a while, and we'll get these 3 books published. Leah's has the job now of creating covers for them. Coming Home 4, 5, and 6, it's about 2,000 pages, 1,950-ish pages of new material, all being released at one time. And we've used the website to release the analysis and the translations of Ruth. So I've already presented chapters 1 through 4 on Ruth, which I would say is as central to God's story as anything that's ever been written. So pretty pleased with that. All right. So if for those who are noticing here, we have a black surround to the blog as opposed to a white surround for the blog. And what that means is that we're on X for the blog today, and we're not on Facebook. Now, the reason we're not on Facebook is I'm assuming they're not related, my passing a kidney stone, and Facebook's Meta AI going AWOL again and just being utterly stupid. It was for inauthentic behavior that both of my Facebook accounts weren't just given a strike, they were both shut down. There's a 180-day appeal process, but Facebook is worse even than YouTube when it comes to customer service. So there is no intelligent communication with Facebook. Rich has been given the task of bringing the site back up because obviously we are as authentic as one could possibly be.
Right.
There is no hiding the fact that I am the one who is posting. I don't post at all on the Craig Wynn Facebook page. I just gave up on it. It was just the Meta AI was just too obnoxious. But we have one that we were using for this and for creating the blog on the website, and that was the Yada Yada Facebook account. They shut them all down, and I don't need them back up, except for one thing, and that we have the belligerent psychopaths of the Mother Goddess cult that hashtag my name on Facebook to generate an audience for their troubled goals, and I don't want them to exist hashtagging my name, which is actually a crime, a criminal crime by U.S. statutes, and also a crime against Facebook, but they don't seem to want to deal with that. But I don't want them up and us not up. That would be a really bad thing for Yahweh's message. So we just want to get it back up, and then we'll leave it alone. My goal is not to stay here on X either. Well, Facebook for a glorious year was the best of the three major platforms. Once Zuckerberg started kissing up to Trump at the Rose Garden dinner, Facebook has fallen apart. That its oversight of its accounts is so obnoxious. So it no longer serves a purpose, and I'm glad to be done with it. But Elon Musk and X are a really sorry situation too. He changed it so that X was managed now by Grok, who decides what you want to see. So you're choosing who you want to follow is meaningless. And those who choose to follow you is meaningless. Grok simply dishes up whatever you responded to, even when you responded to it to say, that's really stupid, you're wrong. It just gives you more of it. And so XP just becomes an experience in swimming amongst turds in a cesspool. And it just gets old. And so I can't see doing that. So my intent is going to be to find a way that I can go back to what I did in Shattering Myths, although this is a visual medium, and that was strictly the syndicated radio program. But there I copied and pasted sections of news stories and explained what was true and false in those stories and what the implications were for those who want to survive these upcoming years. And that was a very effective format. We're doing some of that here in a visual medium. So my thought is if I can copy and paste news stories, and we either do it onto one of these platforms and just don't use their feed very much, or we create another medium to do that. That'll kind of be the plan. Is I'm going to take a picture and then copy and paste a news story and then talk about what elements of that story are true and false. But for now, I do have about a week of posts all queued up for this, and the first of them is the wolf in sheep's clothing, and Sella Chad here, whose first symbol is the Christian cross, which says that they're a believer that God could become a man, which is impossible, and that men can kill God, which is not possible, and that God would somehow relish the idea of having a religion based upon him being a dead and tortured God on a stick. So that's his Sella's sign. That tells you that Sella is a lost soul. And so Sella wants to know, who do you think is the biggest wolf in Christianity? I don't even imagine how somebody
about
could
the
be
Benjamite.
that foolish. Yeah, how someone could be that foolish. But it's Paul. Obviously Paul, and only Paul. Paul is the man who created the religion of Christianity. He wrote the first 14 books of the Christian New Testament. He created the myth of Jesus in 52 CE. There was no Jesus. He literally created the myth by stealing all of the titles and achievements that belonged to King Daud, who is the actual Messiah and Son of God, who fulfilled Pesach by serving as the Passover lamb. And so Christianity is nothing but a product of identity theft. It was created by Paul. Paul admits that he is a Benjamite, and the prophecies regarding Benjamin is that he is a ravenous wolf. And so the answer is really straightforward. And of course, it was Dode who gave the Sermon on the Mount and the Olivet Discourse, both of which were recorded by the Evonim in Hebrew, and they knew him well. And they're both speeches are overtly antagonistic to everything that Christianity stands for. And in the Olivet Discourse, it's very clear that the wolf that would come is Paul. And Paul is condemned by name by Yahweh. Yahweh says that it's exactly 666 years before Paul would write his first letter that to the Galatians, that he and his soul would be the plague of death. And he then goes into great detail to explain when and where and what Paul would say, when he would say it, where he would say it. And it is in Habakkuk. It's one of the most interesting prophecies ever. But it's in Shaul's name, and he was Shaul, not Paul. He used the Roman Paulos because it sounded very much like Apollo, and that he wanted to be a god name to create the lie of Christianity. And so Paul is the wolf in sheep's clothing. It's the reason why we did the entire series in Twistianity based upon Paul. Let me show you a cover of one of the books. Here we go. We have the wolf. We have the bent crucifix. That's the one the Pope likes to parade around with. The dead God on a stick. And Twistianity, it's all about twisting what God said. Paul never actually quoted said Jesus, the person that he claimed had authorized him. Never quoted him once, ever. Not in his 14 letters, ever once. The reason I never quoted him is he didn't exist. And the first two Gospels, which was Paul's term, where Paul said that if heaven and I both have a gospel and mine differs from heaven's, then mine counts and heaven's doesn't.
Right.
And, Paul in his second letter to the Corinthians admitted he was demon possessed. And in fact, he was. But the first two gospels would not exist until 10 years after Paul's death, which is why he never once quotes Jesus, because Jesus was a figment of his imagination and didn't actually exist. And of the hundreds of times that Paul attempts to quote Yahweh in the Torah, prophets, and Psalms, he never once mentions his name, which proves he's a false prophet. And second, he never gets the citation accurate. He misquotes him every time, and his misquotations are always consistent. He leaves out words or adds words or misrepresents words that cause what he cited to convey the opposite of what God actually said. And so all you have to do is put Paul's words next to God's words, and you know that this man is a complete and utter fraud. So that's the truth of it. And there are very few things more important than that. Knowing that Paul, as the wolf in sheep's clothing, created Christianity by lying about this mythical individual, Jesus, is the single most important disclosure you could provide for the world today. Christianity is a fraud. The New Testament is a fraud. Paul was a fraud. Jesus never existed.
Yeah, it was always for me the chain of custody of the New Testament that I had the biggest issue with, because the Torah has a very solid chain of custody, the documents throughout time, right? I mean, there's the ancient ones, the Dead Sea Scrolls, all these things that we found. There's maybe, what was it, like a 10% discrepancy between, the Torah, the actual words in the Torah and what we have
one
now.
word in 14 between the Masoretic text, which was the oldest Masoretic text is the Codex Leningratus. And it's dated to the 11th century CE. It's on a text family that was written in Babylon by rabbis, and the differences between it and the Dead Sea Scrolls is one word in 14. So is it? It's not that terrible. in Christianity, there are 300,000 known variances between the oldest codexes. The oldest codex date to the early 2nd century and through the early 4th century. There are 69 codices dating to that period. After that period, they're a waste of time because the variances are even more extreme. But even in that 69 earliest codices from the early 2nd century to the early 4th century, there are 300,000 variances in a text that's 184,000 words long. So it's devastating for somebody to say this is the inerrant word of God. You've got your head up your tuchus. It isn't even close. But I'm going to differ with you here, Kevin, in that I don't think that the providence of the textual custody is Christianity's primary problem. Yes, it's devastating. It's the Textus Receptus was literally a money-making scheme, and it wasn't even close to being accurate, nor did it even access old texts. And the very fact that the Latin Vulgate was literally and admittedly written because the old Latin texts were so different that nobody could say who had authority to do what. And if you tried to answer based upon the text, you would say, well, whose text are you using? Because they differed by so much. And Jerome did the same thing that Muslims did to create the illusion that you have one original authorized and accurate text. He did an amalgamation of texts and then destroyed all of the others. The same thing is true with the Quran. That's how the Quran came to be. So it is a standard religious practice to do that kind of thing. It's snake oil, of course, but that is what they do. So there is no credibility in the Christian text. And then the worst part of it is that almost every essential statement within the now Christian text was not seen in any ancient manuscript prior to Eusebius. The line that you are the Christ, and upon this rock I will build my church. That whole thing, the Son of the Living God, it appears in 2 books. It's inserted in both books in the mid 4th century by Eusebius. So, in fact, the parables that are attributed to the mythical Christ are both made anti-Semitic in the mid 4th century. So this is the reality of it. So Eusebius is clearly guilty. With all of that known, and I present all of this in an irrefutable manner in the 5 volumes of Twistianity. The one I held up is just one of 5 volumes. That's not the biggest problem of Christianity. The biggest problem is that Paul violated every rule of logic. He lied about essentially everything. His religion was based entirely on a fraud. Jesus Christ never existed. It's a product of identity theft of Dowd, who people know as David, who was the actual king, actual Messiah, actual Savior, actual chosen one. And so he just ripped him off. And you have a man who admitted that he was demon possessed and who never quoted this myth that he conceived as Jesus, never quoted him once, which means he was not speaking for him. And he misquoted God on every possible occasion. That and contradicting himself and failing every rational test. He's the easiest person to disprove. My 5 volumes of Twistianity do a more comprehensive job of disproving the myth of appalling Christianity than anything ever written. But that's the problem is in the words themselves, not the conveyance of the words over time. Sure.
Yeah, he really liked Habakkuk of all books. I mean, he lapped that one up, and that is I had never heard of Habakkuk, not coming, from a Christian background or anything, growing up, until I started reading your books, and I'm like, this is insane that this guy Paul could pull so much out of a book.
It actually
that
isn't. It actually isn't. Satan is highly predictable. Satan hates humans. He thinks humans are really stupid. And he doesn't like the fact that God finds some humans interesting. He just thinks the whole lot of humanity is a waste of breath. And so he likes to taunt the stupidity of humanity. So here you have the two most popular religions in the world, and the two men that created those religions were both sexual perverts, and both men admitted multiple times in their lives that they were demon possessed. It's just Satan's way of going about it. In fact, in Islam, halal is considered good, and yet Yeshaya was inspired by Yahweh to say that halal is Satan's name. I mean, so he's in your face, stupid. And in this myth of what Paul did, and quoting Chabaouk, again, a prophet that spoke 666 years prior to Paul writing his first letter in 52 CE. And the book is devoted to exposing and condemning Paul, calls him out by name, condemns him by name, and has full disclosure of all the details regarding the message that he would convey. You know, his fixation with the male genitalia. He based his religion on opposing circumcision. And yet he was homosexual, and he circumcised his own personal lover, Timothy. And it talks about that the timing that it would become manifest, and the very nature of this man that would present it. And Chabaouk saying, wait a minute. He actually says that God dies. Is he out of his mind? God, you can't die. And it makes, and it just says Shaul, he and his soul are the plague of death. And so Paul constantly cites Chabaouk because he's taunting. It's Satan taunting Christians. He says, you're so effing stupid that I can tell you that I'm the plague of death. I can tell you that Paul is demon possessed. I can misquote everything, and you'll believe it anyway.
Wow.
So that's why it exists. It's Satan taunting the faithful and just saying, you're so stupid, you never figured this out.
Well, he's right.
He's right. And part of the problem is this. Now, this happens to be a liberal that has a box full of facts, and what WTF are these? And he's got the MAGA looking at the box of facts and said, "What the heck are these?" But my point is that while that's true, you are never going to persuade a MAGA political propagandist with evidence and reason, ever. They're going to continue to promote which is so obviously counterproductive and untrue. But the exact same situation, maybe even worse, exists amongst the Marxists or Democrats. They have complete denial of reality they want a communist economic system, which has always failed, and have no concept of the history of that. They want a free Palestine when Palestine has never existed, and they have no concept of the history of that. And it's literally out of touch with reality. But the same is also true, as we just pointed out, with Christianity. And, I've written also a 5-volume set, 4,200 pages of analysis of the Quran and Hadith to prove that Islam is untrue, that Muhammad was not a prophet, and that Allah was not a god, and that the religion is a death cult. Proved it overwhelmingly and undeniably with 4,200 pages of documentation of the oldest Islamic sources. So facts do not change the beliefs of the overtly religious and political. The same thing true, by the way, with the conspiratorial. I could have added them to it. And I did add the Haredi, which is the most prominent sect of Jewish religious thought, I shouldn't really say thought, but beliefs, created in Ukraine and migrated now to Israel, so that in Israel it's the dominant form of the religion. And it's dumber than dumb. I mean, it is really, really stupid what they have incorporated into their belief system. But I would also taught all forms of conspiracy into the same thing. Evidence and reason do not phase the conspiratorial, the anti-Semite, the racist, the Marxist, the Muslim, the Christian, or the Haredi. It's and we have reached a time too where there is a problem even beyond those labels. While it is true that evidence and reason have no effect on the Marxist Democrat, the MAGA Republican, any Muslim, any Christian, or any Haredi, or any conspiratorialist, and that's between all of them, that's about 90% of humanity today. You'd have to add to that Gen Z.
Mhm.
Gen Z has been completely handicapped.
Well, information overload. Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's so much information overload. Yes, there is too much information today for people to process, but that's only because they don't have the ability to filter right from wrong. They have no discernment. And so lots of information is not a bad thing unless you have no filter. And so they have no filter. They can't reason. They don't read very well. They have no attention span. They have much lower IQs. Their memory is faulty. It's no matter which way you look. Gen Z has become, for the most part, a waste of breath. There are some notable exceptions, but unfortunately, they're far and few between. This is a generation that has genuinely lost the ability to think.
Yeah, and Yah was really just looking in these last time of troubles for the free agents. You know, we've known out of the garden that all groups of men are bad. You know, and that suffers from confirmation bias. It doesn't matter what they believe. It's the simple fact that they are congregating together that it makes them bad. You know. And so
it's not the congregating together that makes them bad. It is true that all men who congregate, men and women who congregate, whether it's religiously or politically or militarily or conspiratorially, that all religions, all political schemes, all empires, by the fact that collectivized humanity is always the worst of humanity. And there are really no exceptions in that experience. It is the very essence of gang mentality that make collectivized men bad. It's not just that there are a lot, and in a lot there is the propensity of the few to obstruct, to subjugate, to control, to propagandize, to mislead the many, and that happens through religion and politics mostly. But in gang mentality, what happens is that there is no individual responsibility, and the shrillest, most vile voice and personality is then magnified throughout the group because nobody in the group dare stands up against it. So without personal responsibility in an environment where the most vicious and vile come to the forefront, what you have is this national and religious expression of gang mentality, and God hates it. So if you're part of a large political movement or a large religious movement or a considerable group of conspiratorialists, God despises who you are and what you believe and where your loyalties are. And that's why he said, when men became many, I regretted creating them. And nothing has changed in this regard. The there will be no religious people and no overtly political people in heaven. None, zero. Never have been, never will be. God's very clear on that it will be no more ever than 1 in a million people that make it into his covenant family and enter heaven. And so if you're part of something that is popular, the very fact it's popular means that you're not on the right path.
Yeah, you using the word loyalty just pinged with me again. That's really what it's all about. It is about shazak. It's about that individual relationship with Yahweh. That he's looking for more than anything else. And when you get with a group, you can
the
tend
group, it
to
always falls apart. The shazak is a very different term. Shazak is a firmness and a resilience and a resoluteness and even a harshness. God is very shazak in his nature. He despises collectivized human institutions, despises them, all religions, all political movements. So if you think that God bless America, you are the antithesis of what's real. If you think that God favors the faithful, you are a lost soul. God despises the faithful, and he despises nations. He has very few people that he cares about. They are very few and far between. And the issues that would cause him to say yes to one and no to another are fairly straightforward, although very few people know them. One is that he has given us a lot of information, and you'll either listen to him or not be with him. So listening to what he has to say is first. You will only find his words in the Torah, prophets, and Psalms. That's it. Apart from there, you will not find them. And unfortunately, most renderings of them are inaccurate, grossly inaccurate. And so that's the reason why the library at yadayah.com exists. I've written 38 books on these topics with amplified translations of the original text from the oldest manuscripts with commentary and insights so that you can know what God actually said. So that's first. You got to listen to him. And you've got to listen to him from a text that is accurate as opposed to those that are not. Second is that you need to contemplate what he said. It's one thing to hear it. It's another thing to know it. You've got to make that process of going from knowing to understanding before you're going to even approach God. And once you know and understand what he is saying, one of the very first things you're going to do is you're going to walk away from religion and politics. So long as you cling to religion and politics, he'll have nothing to do with you. And it doesn't matter how much you come to know and understand, you're just never going to be welcome. So listening, thinking, coming to understand. Then the next is you have to respond. Relationships where somebody, one side gives and the other person is a zombie, a dependent, somebody who feels like they're entitled, doesn't work. That was what was wrong in the garden. Neither Adam and Chava made any contribution to the relationship. They did not work, and that was highly dissatisfying to God. So after you listen, you think, you have to respond by engaging in this relationship. And you've got to engage in the relationship in a manner that's consistent with the instructions that God has provided. And very few people know them because they've been hoodwinked by the stupidity of Christianity and Islam and the Haredi Orthodox Judaism and by all manner of political and conspiratorial nonsense. So they don't even know what to listen to, and they've been so dumbed down and made so irrational by these things they can't even process what God is saying, which is why you have to disassociate with them from all of these things before you can even approach God. And then lastly, there's something even beyond. If you're going to be part of this very few, the 1 in a million that can be part of God's covenant family, more even than listening, more even than thinking, more even than understanding, more even than walking away from religion and politics, more even than engaging, you've got to continue the this whole process of making a contribution. You can't play for a while and then say, I'm going to take a vacation. God is going to determine who he can trust to elevate beyond 3 dimensions and take off this planet and explore the universe based upon who has shown themselves to be responsible. And the only way you can show yourself to be responsible is to do everything on that list. And with the last one, you stay the course. You stay loyal. You stay committed. You stay active. You make a contribution. That's why I went a few months back to the Covenant family and said, get off your duffs. You're kidding yourself if you think you're going to go for the ride of a lifetime and that God's going to elevate you if you haven't made a contribution. If he doesn't have any way of knowing whether he can trust you or not, you're not going to be there. So I'm going to give you first of all, I'm going to create the opportunity for you to demonstrate that you're trustworthy and that you can make a contribution. I'm going to give you the platform to do it on, and I give you a lot of suggestions as to what you can do. But folks, you need to engage. You're not doing this for me. You're doing it because you need to prove your own value, and you need to get outside of yourself and make a contribution to others and encourage them to follow you on this path. And this is the way to go about it. So that's why we did what we did. And, there are some really impressive signs with people making tremendous inroads and growth. I mean, sometimes they cheat. It was when you get Shannon and Matt to interview Will and his son Jake. I mean, that's like saying I want to play poker, but I want to start with a royal flush. So
right.
But it's really good. I love many of the programs that are coming out, and some are a little rough. In fact, they're all a little rough initially, but so were the first that we did. You've got to grow into it, and it's not natural for people to turn on lights and cameras and microphones and say, let's go and do a live stream. That just is not how we're rigged. And it's,
especially
it's
with the introverts that most of us tend to be in the Covenant family. I mean, you're not a part of a group if you're an extrovert most of the time, right? I mean,
correct.
So
I was an introvert. Yeah, I was clearly an introvert. And the Covenant is comprised mostly of introverts. My wife probably being the most severe of all of the introverts in the Covenant. And now she's being called out to play a very open role. And I was born an introvert. I didn't like being an introvert, and so I taught myself to be an extrovert. But when I retire at the end of this, I'm going right back to being an introvert again. So,
yes.
There is great comfort and knowing that you can be alone with yourself and your God, and feel more at home, more at peace at that time than at any other time.
Greatest sense of serenity I've ever had in my life.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. I have shewed, that Rich and Perry have come to dedicate themselves to helping us convey this message, and both know that after we do that Friday Family Hour show, that we're not going to get together until Monday morning, because I'm going to spend, and Leah's going to spend, our time doing what we love. I love to translate and to write and to share insights. She loves to create these songs and the branding. And we're going to have our time together and our time with Yah, and it's a recharge time that we're really comfortable with. And it is lovely for us. Now, the exception was this Sunday when I was double over in pain. I need to go to the hospital. I know Leah's not good in these kind of situations. I went into Leah, said, when you could drive me to the hospital. And she says, no, I can't do that. Call Rich. So we called Rich. Rich spent the day and spent the night here last night, being protective. But, for the most part, we take 2 days just to be introverts. Again, introverts with each other. And it is a recharge time
Yeah.
for us now.
There
We
was
realize that you still have to do this, and you do it with enthusiasm, and you know how important it is to do this. But this is the mission that we were given, not a natural extension of our personalities.
You do realize when this is all said and done, you're still going to be very popular in Chamonix. Yes, you will.
My goal is to get through this next 11 months and to do the best job we possibly can.
Yep.
And then my goal is going to be to learn as much as it's possible to learn over that 3-year working vacation. I am going to ask the boss for a little time off. I really do want to recharge a bit, but most times it's going to be, what can we learn? What can we accomplish in that 3-year time off? So we come back, and then the goal is to be as effective as possible over that 3.5 years. But within a caveat, we're not trying to win friends. We're not even trying to influence people. Well, we are as active condemning them as we are sponsoring what is true, and what people do with it is up to them, but we're not going to tolerate the naysayers. It's going to be a very different time. You think I'm a little harsh now. Wait till you get a load of us in that last 3.5 years. And it's not to debate with people. It's to say this one way or the other, you choose. And if you want to make the right choice, we'll protect you. We'll support you. We'll educate you. But if it's the other choice, you may want to think this through, because there are 2 options for your soul. And if you cross a line, you're going to have designated the worst of those 2 options. And they are just to be the victim of religion or politics, so your soul dissipates to nothing. To be the promoter of religion and politics, then you go to that deep, dark place called Sheol. So we'll be part of that. Now, then we begin 1,000 years on earth. And I can tell you that I have contemplated this role and how that role is going to play out, and how we can go from withdrawal and just enjoying the planet as it is, and one another as it is reestablished as the Garden of Eden again, and also playing the role of supporting our beloved son, Dode, and the Covenant family. And both are exciting, adding to the books, adding to the vlog, and contributing to our beloved son. All of it is wonderful. But I'm hoping that there'll be some away time too in all of that process. And then after the 1,000 years, then I think we're pretty much on equal footing at that point. Dode's still king, and will be mother and father in support to our king and our son. But I just think that at that point, it's all positive for everybody, and it's such an extraordinary experience with everybody in the 7th dimension, and all people that we can trust and enjoy being around. That's not a situation that I think of much or worry about much, because you got a lot of work before we get there.
That'll be much less stressful.
It will be. Yes. I think the 1,000 years will be a lot less stressful than the 3.5 before it. And I think that 3.5 before it, I think, will be very, very stressful. But I'm not sure it's quite as stressful as this. This last year of leaving is full and complete and accurate, accessible, interesting legacy as possible. I think that my friend Joe, in writing this very complicated and sophisticated text-to-speech platform, where there are many voices and a very complicated text and many foreign words to pronounce, and his in concert with the Page Turner books. And now most of the books are talking. Within a week's time, they will all talk. So every book on the site will talk and page turn. and the voices are fascinating in them. It's the best ever combination of text to speech and online book experience with page turners. It's extraordinary. We're going to add to that an avatar. And with that, I think that we have gone the next step. I think at that point, we will have accomplished what we need. And I'll have the next 3 books written. I'll have rewritten, written in stone. And I will have begun a series on the Mashal and probably another series on the last of the prophets. I can see, again, trying to write 3 books at the same time, just trying to get it all done. So that's where we are in this in this process, and I would tell you that I probably used a wrong term. For me, this isn't stressful. It's this is a job that I have done many times. Yaz trusted me to get this job done. I've typically done it in partnership with Leah under a variety of different names. There's no indication that we have ever failed in delivering the desired result. So God equips us to get the job done. And he seems to have found a personality and some attributes that he can exploit reasonably well to overcome the most difficult challenges in human history. And that's when we're deployed. It's only when things are really dire, and they are now. But we have never failed him. We've never given up on him. We've never stopped. And we've always succeeded. So, and he's written the conclusion of this effort. We prevail. So what's to be stressed over? There is this tremendous sense of responsibility, so that we never leave here. We never ever even take a breath away from here. So there is that sense of responsibility, but there is no real sense of stress. I know how it turns out. I know who he is, who I am, what we do.
And I have to disagree with you about the 1,000-year period in Shamayim. Absolutely, there's going to be stress. Absolutely, there's going to be challenges. We've stated that that's the only way we're going to grow. They will just be new challenges and new opportunities for us in a way that we can't imagine now. There's going to be problems to solve. There's going to be, you're not. So,
but here's the difference, and maybe it's just a unique situation that I'm in. Well, I will concur that not only in the next 1,000 years, not only in the next 7 years, but in the next 1,000 years after that and eternity after that, we will still make mistakes. And we will still learn from them. We will still encounter challenges and we will overcome them. If it were not for those things, then we would have no chance of growing, developing, or even enjoying the process, and God could never enjoy the relationship with us. Those things have to stay in place. But making a mistake and learning from it is not a sense of stress. It's a sense of joy. I'm delighted when I learn that something that I said can be refined or developed in a way that makes even more sense when exposed to additional information. So it's not as stressful. It's an opportunity to show your mettle, to show that you are unique and that you can admit when you're wrong and correct the record and earn people's trust as a result of doing that, and show people by example how they should be. And overcoming obstacles is the stuff of life. And that's, why I was not complaining that I had to pass a kidney stone yesterday. It was agonizing, but I know that there are things I need to learn from even this. And it is something to overcome and to come out the other side wiser for the experience. The failure at Facebook, it was zero stress to me yesterday. First of all, I know that I can trust Richard. He's going to figure out a way to get it back up, and then I'm never going to use it again. So that worked beautifully for me, and I wanted to be done with it anyway. So works just fine. And we need to have a better way of populating these kinds of programs. So there's really no stress in that. If you know when you make a mistake that you're going to learn from it, if you know there's an obstacle that you're going to recover and be stronger and more resolute on the other side of it, why stress?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
There are
This one makes the rounds all the time, doesn't it?
A billion reasons to oppose Donald Trump, including the fact that he's demon possessed, the fact that he lies for a living, the fact that he is such a caustic influence on the world, the fact that he's a sexual pervert and has raped little girls. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to despise this man, but you don't have to make up shit. You really don't. If I were to run, I'd run as a Republican. They're the dumbest group of voters, and they'll believe anything on Fox. It was not stated. You can do a fact check on it. You should. And this person that posted it in a way that took an old picture and then in black and white, and then took newspaper type print and put it together. This is using AI to deliberately fool people. It's why AI is so dangerous. It's why X is so dangerous. It has no ability to actually look at a post like this and have an understanding that it is dead wrong. The statement was not made. And People magazine has been asked to validate, and it says we have no record of such an interview and nothing in our archives says this. Now, is it likely that he thought such a thing? Yes. It fits it.
Right.
But this is a fake.
I'm just curious. I would like to go back and see any issue of People magazine that had a black and white picture in it. I mean, People magazine was
yes, that's true. This is news. Yeah, this is
news.
newsprint, and People magazine was all glossy and color.
Yeah.
So even that the AI bungles. Yeah, you're right. That's also true. AI is just not smart. I mean, it really isn't. It is not smart, and almost everything that lie that they try to perpetrate is really crude, disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus is still king. Can I get an amen to that? In the back of the ark, like you're going to have a door in the at about the waterline of such a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, folks, this little American flag on my chest. Look what that says. Let me tell you something, there, sweetheart. Jesus was never a king. He will never be a king. But the king was on the Teba. Why? Because Noach was the father of Shem, the name of names. And Shem is Dod. And Dod is the former and returning king of Yisrael and the world. So there was a king on the Teba. And it's a vessel of insights. That's what Teba means. Jesus never existed. Jesus is a complete and utter fraud. So you got it all wrong. Smile. Yeah. Take my picture. Oh, right. And by the way, can I get an amen?
An amen.
Amen Ra?
Yeah. Amen is the name of the sun god of Egypt. Tuktak, Amen, Amen, Ra. Yeah, it's one of the gods of Egypt. There is a word in Hebrew that would have some validity if you knew Hebrew. It's Aman. And Aman means this is trustworthy, this is reliable, this is true. But it's the antithesis of prayer. And of course, in the Christian prayer, it's we pray this in God's name, Amen, which makes Amen God's name. and Amen is the name of the Egyptian god. That religious, Satan did get this part right. The religious are really stupid. Really,
Commas are tough,
really
though.
stupid.
Come
Pardon?
on, commas are tough though sometimes though, right? I mean, in His name we pray, comma, amen, right? I mean, sometimes commas can be tough for people. I'm just saying.
No matter how you deal with it, it's wrong. Comma or no
yes.
comma, it's wrong. It's Aman, and Aman is a
Aman.
verb, and it means trustworthy and reliable. And that means that Yahweh's testimony is trustworthy and reliable, and Yahweh had nothing to do with Jesus. Jesus is not a God. God's not a man. Men cannot kill God. God's the Egyptian religion of Amen, where men are resurrected. Resurrection is just utterly stupid. It's counterproductive. In fact, it's doing the opposite of what it's saying. You want to get rid of these bodies and be enveloped in light and energy. And so even the bodily resurrection thing is insane. But no, they got it all wrong. And I know a thing or two about that Teba.
A thing or two, right?
Every bolt, every glue lamb. I know everything there is to know about that Teba. Spent 40 years building that sucker.
You think they'll just for giggles gonna have a replica, in the 1,000-year ship?
No. I would absolutely forbade it. No. I ain't going back to that thing. Not ever. That was a big damn ask of Yah, and we ain't never going back.
You don't remember every splinter every time you hit your hand.
No, I never going back to that sucker. So it was needed to be done. We were about the business of saving the Salma man, who God wanted to destroy because he regretted giving man a conscience when many men became all bad men. And I swear it was Noach's idea to do this, to save 8 souls above aboard the Teba, as the rest of Nasalma men were wiped out, and we got a fresh start in that region where Nasalma men were. But 40 years of building that sucker and collecting all the material for it in the hundreds of years prior to that. No, we're not going back.
No replica, huh? Okay.
No replica. Trump is still bragging about we could destroy all their dams, we could blow up all their bridges, we could destroy all their power plants, we could do it in an hour. No big deal. In fact, might be fun to do. Do you know that just saying what he said makes him absolutely guilty of one of the most serious war crimes there is?
Yeah, attacks against civilian infrastructure.
Yeah, you can't. It's in a war crime as it relates to civilian infrastructure. To destroy it, of course, is a war crime. To threaten to destroy it is the same war crime. So he's guilty of a war crime here. Now, is it the worst thing that war crime and the worst thing that he's guilty of? No. The thing that he's most guilty of is he's Satan incarnate. He made a deal with the devil to avoid jail and to go on this revenge tour against humanity. And that's the worst thing he did. But this is just another example of it. Poop in his pants is got some serious problems. Oh, so sad. These are all victims of Epstein and Trump. And Epstein and Trump, without Trump, there is no Epstein. Trump was closer to him and enabled him more than anyone else. And the tragedy of having so many young girls sexually abused by these two men and by others, from the CIA and the FBI and foreign governments like MBS and captains of industry and Bill Gates, for example. It is an one of the great tragedies and great stigmas and stains on humanity. And the fact that a religious movement masquerading as a political movement in MAGA has elected this man president and promotes him, and the great harm they did to these girls is like raping them a second and third time. And unfortunately, Trump is, while he is bad at most everything, he is good at propaganda. And he knows that chaos has a tendency to confuse people.
Mhm.
So he repeats his lies over and over again, and then he comes up with new lies every day, and then he envelops his lies in symbols that people endear, like, flag and country. And so Trump is a master manipulator using propaganda, and then he uses the last element of it, which is you either go along with his propaganda or he will disembowel you. And so people have a tendency to succumb to that. It's very much like Machiavelli's The Prince. It's the same strategy. And Trump is excellent at it. As insane and as demonic as he is about the business of raping these children over and over again, all with the support of the MAGAites who are Twistians.
And the Justice Department and the weight of the United States government. I mean, we were having a bit of a discussion pre-show and talking about the likes of Paul and Muhammad and Eusebius and your thoughts on that. These guys, they deserve something worse. I mean, it's one thing to purport a religion but this sort of activity deserves something worse.
Yeah, it is, and this is something that what we were talking about pre-show was that now that the pain is over of yesterday, I'm grateful for it because I really have an appreciation for what, again, a reminder of excruciating pain, because in the role that I've been asked to fulfill, I'm responsible for doing things that people are typically unaware of. And that is that the worst perpetrators that Donald Trump types, Paul, Muhammad, would also fit into this, Hadrian, Eusebius, are aforementioned candidates. They are not going to get an express ticket to Sheol, which is hell. God is going to demand, because justice demands, retribution before they're sent. So rather than sevenfold, So while there are 1 in a million that are going to be elevated to 7 dimensions and have access to God, and there will be some that are sent directly to Sheol because they misled, but not to this extent of causing this kind of personal pain. And the overwhelming preponderance of people, their souls will simply cease to exist. They will be dissolved into nothingness. They just go away. They didn't know God. God didn't know them. There's no reward. There's no punishment. And that's for the vast majority of souls. There are some, like Eusebius, like Paul, like Muhammad, like Hadrian, like Vespasian, like Titus, that like Epstein and Donald Trump, like Mao Zedong and Hitler and Stalin. The guards at Auschwitz and the inquisitioners during the Inquisition, those who promoted the Holocaust and the pogroms, all popes. There's a cadre of individuals whose activities were so egregious that they will have to suffer recompense for what they did even before they go into Sheol, and the recompense will be 7 times what they perpetrated. And there are souls that deserve closure. If you're one of those people that was controlled such that you had to endure torture perpetrated by these men or women in some cases, and you were crying inside to say, if there is a God, this person is going to endure far worse for what they are doing to me. You deserve to see that that is indeed going to happen. You do. It's closure. You deserve to see it. And it's my job to provide it to you. Now, we talked about this. I'm very comfortable and have asked for the responsibility of providing the testimony against Muhammad and Paul and Luke and Mark and Eusebius and Hadrian and Vespasian and Titus and Hitler. And I know these souls pretty well. I've studied them. And Donald Trump, of course. And I will provide the testimony that leads to retribution prior to the sentence into Sheol. And there are people that are not as well known that have been very troubling that I'm going to do the same thing with. And it's part of the responsibility I've been given. I am not wired to oversee the receiving sevenfold recompense. I am wired to make certain that those who are abused find closure and they know that God indeed held them accountable. But I'm going to delegate this likely to Malak because it's just not in my nature to perpetrate it. I know it's deserved, I know it's needed, and I will orchestrate everything up to its actual implementation, at which point I'm going to delegate it likely to Malachim. And they will take it from there. It's I've done a lot, I think, to earn some say in what I do with for Yahweh and for the victims of religious and political malfeasance. And I think that it's fair to say that I'm not wired for that. I'm wired for everything up to it. And so I will find support in the final execution of it. But I think just going through that kind of agony yesterday is a reminder of making sure that it's done fairly and appropriately, and nobody gets out of line. It has to be done, but it has to be also fair and appropriate.
Yeah, the Shabbat is a heavy stick. It's a symbol, but it's also a very, very useful.
It's a rod. It's a rod of divine punishment. And yes, it is a sign of leadership. It's a shepherd's staff in terms of guidance. It speaks of the very tribes that make up Yisrael, but it's also a rod of divine justice, and all of those are wielded by the same two individuals primarily, and one of the two doesn't like having to do it at all. And it would absolutely delegate it, and the other one says, "I'll do it up to the point of I'm not swinging the rod. I'll do all of the trials. I'll do all of the testimony. I'll do all of the sentencing, and I will make certain that those who have been victimized get closure. But what actually happens after that, I'm delegating."
Yeah. Can definitely understand that.
Religion is a mini tragic thing. So I got some news flash here for you. Yeah, I was going to eliminate every religious person on earth. It will happen 7 years from now. On the 24th of September in the morning, in 2033 or 6,000 Yah, everyone who is religious, political, conspiratorial, anti-Semitic, they will all be incinerated, instantly turned to goo and gone. All of them. So you can play your AI imagery and you can have your man God. But if that is your thing, you will be one of those who is extinguished 7 years from now. So it comes with a consequence. That's the cause. Now you know the consequence. They will not win in the end. They lose. Okay, so there they are. The pharaoh looks like the pharaoh's African in that picture. So Ernst isn't colorblind of some sort. He's not colorblind. His whole thing would be, can I push racial themes that are grossly untrue? But no, the pharaoh was the Egyptians were not black-skinned Africans. There was a tiny little sliver of time when some sub-Saharan Africans came and they ruled over the Egyptians. They were rebuffed over time, and so that depiction is untrue, just like the depiction of Jews as blacks. That's also untrue. The sad thing about that first part is that skin pigmentation ought not have been even relevant. And I wouldn't speak of it if it weren't for the fact that they're trying to convey through AI that which is untrue, through AI and words. The black Hebrew Israelites is a lie many times over. It's nothing but a racist cult. This idea of turning the Egyptians into blacks is pure racism, and it's grossly inaccurate. And truth matters.
Mm-hmm.
And when you promote lies based upon skin pigmentation, you are a racist. And you ought not be. That's it's inappropriate. The second issue is what this idiot's trying to do is to say that the story of the flood is untrue because the Egyptians didn't write of a flood. Guess what? God didn't flood the area of the Nile. The earth was not flooded. The planet was flooded. God would use Teba. He didn't. Tebel, actually, which means world. He used Eretz, and Eretz does not mean earth, capital E. It is used most often to describe the land of Yisrael, and Yisrael is a really, really tiny place. Eretz just simply means a region. And the region that was flooded is very well documented. And so if you want to know about it, numbskull, Ernst, Mr. Stupid, I'm black, and I'm going to make the Egyptians black to make my point. Why don't you learn about the actual text, which says that it was an upwelling of deep seawater that initiated the flood. Why don't you study a little archaeology and a little geology and a little astronomy and read about the Burkle impact crater that occurred at this time that put a tsunami 500 feet in height that began not too far from Madagascar, went right up through this region, up the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, turned the Black Sea, which was fresh water, into salt water. Right at that time, I think God told them, 500 feet elevation rise in the Black Sea at that moment, transferring it from fresh water to salt water at that moment. And the silt residue of that tsunami and all of the oceanic creatures that it sent forth are all there. There's a 12-foot silt level as a result of this. And it went out through the Bosphorus Straits into the Mediterranean Sea, discharging there. It was not a worldwide flood. Didn't affect Egypt because there were no Nasalma men in Egypt. God's entire intent with it was to wipe out all but 8 of the Nasalma men, because you don't even know what a Nasalma is. But it's the conscience that made humans with it different from humans without it, and the ability to think caused most humans to be bad. And God says, I regret created them. So we did a reboot of Nasalma Man, but that was concentrated between the 2 rivers because the Nephilim were east of Eden, so below the Black Sea and the Caspian Seas, and went down the 2 rivers, because water is life, went down the 2 rivers all the way to their mouth. That's the only place that had to be wiped out. That's where all the Nasalma men lived. That was it. Easily evidenced. The text is clear. And you've made a fool of yourself. You just don't know it.
So simple. Eretz.
Well, it's not actually simple. It's complicated. You got to study. You got to learn what the words actually say, what the intent was. You got to do what no one had done heretofore, which is to convey the story accurately, so that you
did.
know
I just
what
read
was
your book.
Yes, I did that.
So it's simple for the rest of us. Sorry.
Yeah, not simple for the rest of it. I did that. You can go to yada.com and read all about it. Musk is really a scummy guy, and really a scummy guy. He obviously has no morals, no empathy, and even his businesses now are all shams. All of them. He survives entirely on government programs and government controls. Tesla wouldn't even exist today if it wasn't for the United States imposing 100% duties on Chinese electric vehicles. And originally it grew because of the $7,500 tax credit on electrical vehicle purchases. That's how it grew. That's how it survived competition. SpaceX has primarily one customer, the U.S. government. And you look at even XAI, he rented out to the Defense Department to target civilians in Iran. He's a government welfare recipient and scam artist. It's a tragedy how he has wasted the gifts that he could have brought to the world through his industry. As for his love America or you need to be exiled, capital exiled, that Musk demands that anyone who hates America be exiled. Anyone who doesn't love America, it's actually the other way. Everyone who doesn't love America is a traitor and beneath contempt. Those who don't love America, those who don't, who are disloyal, should be exiled immediately. So evidently, Mr. Elon Musk can't read. I would have thought, you buy a site like Twitter, you should be able to read. But the U.S. Constitution is quite clear in these matters, which is that you can't be exiled for expressing your grievances against your country. In fact, the Constitution actually carves out a wide swath for those who have grievances against their country. And for you to say that unless you show blind loyalty for example, having Satan as your president, that you need to be exiled immediately, that's not very American of you, sir. May want to think it through next time you write, but that's not his intent, does it? So the Constitution does not address economics. So for those who, he in other places, he doesn't like Democrats because they're communists. So that was part of his long tweet, is that that Democrats are communists. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. 60% of them are Marxists. But you know what the Constitution doesn't address? Economics.
Communism. Yeah.
Doesn't address economics. Communism didn't even exist at the time. But no, it doesn't address economics. So you can't exclude people because they want a different economic solution. You can mock them for being stupid and wanting Marxism because it's so counterproductive, but you can't exclude them because they are Marxists. The U.S. Constitution does not discuss economics, but it does discuss protecting dissent. And so you'd be wrong again and again and again. But you lie about everything. You're lying about Optimus. You're lying about SpaceX. You're lying about Tesla and its future. You're lying about everything. You're a carnival huckster. No. Christ is a lie, and the devil is the god of religion. So we can correct that if you'd like. Christ is a lie. Never existed. There is no Christ in prophecy, none. There was never a Mr. Christ. The very basis of the word in Greek, which was corrupted and then transliterated into other languages like English, means to be drugged. Christos. And it is Satan that is the god of every religion.
And they even doubled down on that drugged moniker, because the Chi-Rho that we use is prescription RX today, right? And it's
Correct.
to double down on it. It's
Double down. Yeah.
Stuff.
I mean, it's so obvious that, first of all, when the only time that is actually appears that the root appears in the text, it's in Revelation, and the wannabe Jesus character is saying that I suggest you get some medicinal salve for your eyes and apply it. And the term that he uses on applying the drug is Christos. So the verbal root of this title is to apply drugs. You just have to be a moron to be religious.
Drugs are
Simple.
bad.
Okay, so this is an atheist, and he wants to. This is Tory atheist this time, as opposed to Ernst atheist. But so he's having God say that that if God said if people did not listen to him and obey him, he would punish them 7 times. And they would eat the flesh of their sons and daughters. Leviticus 26, 27 through 29. But you got some problems with that there, Tory atheist. Guess what? In this statement, well, I read it this morning in Hebrew. Yahweh did not mention listen. So there's the first thing. Did not listen. No mention of listen. And he never, ever once says obey. There's not even a Hebrew word for obey. So now you're 0 for 2 in your theory. He did not mention punishment in it. Instead, consequence. And it was for contrarian instruction and rebellion, there would be a consequence. It's like any parent. Say you can do whatever you want to do, but there will be a consequence for contrary instruction and rebellion. Further, flesh is from bashar, and the verbal root of bashar that defines the meaning of the word means to speak. You didn't know that, did you, Tory atheist? And therefore, what is actually said is they will eat their words. They give contrary instruction, and they will eat their words. It's actually brilliant. And so rather than disprove God or paint God to be a cannibal, it's a brilliant statement when you understand what was actually said. And that's the value of rendering words responsibly, as opposed to being a moron. Oh, sorry, Toey, but you got it wrong, pal.
Yeah. They want to, and I get this as an atheist, but they want to put this on obey. If you don't obey God and you don't listen, there's going to be punishment.
Yeah, where you're going to eat the flesh of your sons. He doesn't say that.
Nowhere.
You're going to eat your words,
yes.
is what he says.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you need to learn how languages were conceived, where the verbal root of all ancient languages defines the nouns derived from them. And Bashar is written exactly the same way as is Bashar, the verb and the noun written exactly the same way. And so, and every reasonable examination of a definition of any word, it's always the actionable root that defines the noun. And so Bashar means to speak. It's a herald. They're going to eat their words. They had contrarian instructions. And so a time will come they'll eat their words. It's brilliant. And so you managed to take something brilliant and you turned it into something revolting.
Mhm.
You know, is any wonder that God despises most humans?
Yes. It's-
Oh, there she is, Cackles. A beautiful gold dress in the White House. There's Cackles. Oh, what can you imagine how much better the world would be if you had President Cackles? Be honest, yes or no? Was it even remotely possible that Cackles could be elected? Beyond the fact that she was a Marxist and the people who decide elections and that are not Marxists. They are the undecideds and that middle group, because you've got the Dems, which are 2/3 now Marxists, and you've got the Republicans, which have been lost to MAGA. They're all going to vote for who they're going to vote for, but there's only 40% of each group. So there's another 20% that decides all national elections, that middle ground. And they don't favor Marxism, particularly the men. Men overwhelmingly are opposed to communism. And so you put in a progressive Marxist candidate who has no business experience at all, and she's going to lose 100% of the time, or he will lose 100% of the time. But beyond all of that, there was no chance that she could win, because the prophets are always right. And they went to great length to describe a country that could only be the United States of America, that would have a leader at this time, exactly this time. And they defined the time. It's exactly this time, and a country of the United States of America that would have a leader who would be possessed by Satan. He would be known as Rahab. And they described him in all manner of ways, sexually perverted, egomaniacal, psychotic, goatish comb over hair, coppered colored. They used every way to describe him. Long in days, old fart. They even describe him as stinking up high heaven, because Trump poops in his pants.
Right.
Very
Describe
vivid
him.
in their descriptions of him. And it's clear that he becomes the leader of America at this time, and America betrays Israel and destroys the world. So since you're not a man, and it's described as a man that does all these things, you had a 0% chance of getting elected. And Rahab ain't leaving the United States in the next, following the midterms or following the 28 elections, even if they transpire. He's not leaving until January 29th of 2030. And he's going to Israel and Jerusalem. And he's going to announce the final formation of the Fourth Reich on the Ides of March, which is the most important day politically and religiously in ancient Rome, the 15th of March in 2030. That's what we're going to witness. This is Satan incarnate. This is the person that Christians know as the Antichrist.
Well, and finish. Who comes back in April on Pesach that year, 2030?
Yeah, a couple of fellows. You got Yada and Elia coming back. And that's going to be quite a twosome. They're going to be speaking from the Temple Mount. God's going to have a jumbotron running above them. There's going to be a replica of the tent of the restoring witness. The Ark of the Covenant is going to be returned to it. The Dome of the Rock and Alaska Mosque are going to be removed. It's going to be extraordinary to see them speak to the world and against Rahab at that time. It's going to be an amazing bit of oratory, and then it's going to conclude with the greatest show on earth, the great day of Yahweh's Teruah in 2033, and that is when it will all come to a head. This is the guy and the fellow. His name is Gadi Eisenkot. Very plain-spoken man. He was head of the IDF, which does not actually speak well for him. He does not know how to use his voice. If you're going to be a leader of men, you actually have to know how to use your voice. He does not. He does not have any charisma at all, which means it's going to be tough for him to be a leader of men. But he is plain spoken. And the two opposition leaders that he has to overcome to run against Netanyahu, who is a plague against Israel at this point, Le Pen and Bennett, who have both been prime minister, who are you look at these two idiots, and Lapid is an empty suit. He's a pretty face in an empty suit. And well, I think that Bennett would be a decent human being. He does not have the substance to lead God's people. And both of those guys are they joined forces once before. They are joining forces again. And by joining forces, they have said that their own convictions are meaningless compared to their own ambitions. And when a person puts their ambitions above their convictions, they're tragic. And that's what both of those men have done. And so is there the possibility that the very quiet-spoken man who does not know how to use his voice, who is totally and completely unpolished and not charismatic at all, will prevail against the very polished, exceedingly articulate, tremendously showy Netanyahu? For him to do so, he's going to have to partner with the two Arab parties. And Netanyahu will, of course, partner with the religious parties. And Netanyahu will condemn him for partnering with the Arab parties, even though Netanyahu tried to do so to crawl back into power. And it's actually the Haredi that are the ultimate parasites of Israel. And so I would say that the Haredi are actually much more lethal to Israel than are either of the two Arab parties. Israel's in a mess. They have no constitution, and they have no leaders, and they have no vision, and they've erased Yahweh from their lives and from their country and even from their name. And so we are in the midst of the time of troubles. It began 22 May of this year, which was Shabuah, and it will continue until 23 September of 2033, which is Teruah. And between now and then, 2 out of every 3 Jews are going to die. And they're not done with Iran. According to the prophets, it's Iran that sends millions of jihadists by foot into Israel, by foot in armored personnel carriers and the like. And Israel's going to have no response to it, just like they had no response for the 4,000 Muslims and tenny rompers that walked through the gate. They'll have no response to the 4 million jihadists that come from Iran into Israel. So it's going to be a devastating situation. But that's the showdown for the next election. Will Gadi Eisenkot prevail over the partnership between Lapid and Bennett? And once we know who will be the prime opposition, will they prevail over the coalition of Netanyahu? And keep in mind that Israel, unfortunately, embraced the parliamentary system, which is the system of political payoffs. It is exceedingly corrupt, and they can't resolve that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or it's not even who prevails; it's who doesn't prevail, and is it enough to continue to erode and tear Israel apart between the Marxists and the ultra orthodox? Yeah, I mean they're beating each other in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's not like
they are right now. Actually, I don't think it's so much the Marxists that are beating the Haredi in the streets, because the Marxists are. Like to hang together and promote their sexual identity and They're Marxist ideals, but they like to hang among with other Marxists in Tel Aviv, and there aren't many Haredi in Tel Aviv. So I don't think that's the case. I think it's the right wing Likud who are either unreligious or marginally religious, being disgusted at the parasitical nature of the Haredi. And the Haredi are absolute parasites for Israel. And they're the essence of Netanyahu's coalition. So this is a country at war with itself.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Creepy, creepy, creepy. That is the body of slain leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. That's his body. And look at this black horde wanting to touch the dead man's body. It's really creepy. But there's going to be 20 million people that line the streets. For the most part, his body is in a casket. The Iranians are really, that's a good picture of it. You can see there's millions of people. The expectation is 20 million. And the Persians that run Iran are very effective propagandists. And they're not like Trump, who will say there's going to be 1 million people at my festival and 15,000 show up. They are, they're the type that says there's going to be 20 million people, then you can be convinced there'll be 20 million people over the 10, 12 days of this. If you look in that trailer, there would be the Ayatollah's coffin in the middle. But the Americans who bombed him on intel from Israel killed wives and children and other leaders as well. I don't know if there's 6 or 7 coffins in there, maybe 7 or 8 coffins in there. One is of a young child. And the parade through Iran, and it's going to go from Tehran to the holiest of the Iranian cities, and then take the tour of the country. There will be every bit of 20 million people that come out, and those people are all motivated to say, death to Trump, death to Netanyahu. They perpetrated this horror. Mm-hmm. They murdered them. It was counterproductive to do so. That's not to say that that the Ayatollah was a good fellow. He was not. He was really an evil man. But he was less diabolical for the world than those who replaced him as a result of this failed attempt at regime change. When the CIA and the Mossad involve themselves in regime change, the result is always horrific. It has always been, it will always be. They don't have a single success to show for their efforts, and they've tried it 100 times. And this is the tragedy that results. And so what they have done is they have taken a country that was at odds with itself, that was disintegrating economically, and they rallied the people together. And there is a very sound argument that can be made that Iran baited the United States and Israel into attacking it, and that they played them to do that, that without them attacking them, the regime probably would have fallen. But with Israel and the United States attacking Iran, they galvanized the population around the regime. And so they were played to do so. And the result was that Iran emerged as the hegemon of the region, far stronger than any other country in the region, including Israel.
Mm-hmm. With so no prohibition on nuclear weapons now.
It backfired. Mm-hmm. And the likelihood of Iran already having a nuclear weapon is probably in the 99th percentile. Mm-hmm. And even if they don't, if they just have all the components to build one, you went from a country that could have had one at any time over the last 20 years and chose not to a country that has no choice but to complete it. And so this attack was counterproductive in every possible way. It brought the world to the brink of economic collapse. The Strait of Hormuz is such that it's catastrophic for food supplies and for the world's economy. It destroyed the petrodollar, the basis of the U.S. economy. It destroyed the myth that the United States has a powerful military and can deploy it successfully. And it imposed the Shiites in Iran over all of their Sunni fiefdom neighbors, and showed Israel to be the pariah of the world. So everything was a loss. An all tragic loss. And here, 20 million people supporting a fallen leader who was murdered by two countries that they will hate all the more.
Mm-hmm.
Stunningly counterproductive. Yeah, that this whole notion that America is a Christian country and we got to believe in Jesus.
Judeo-Christian values.
Going back to the Bible. That he said there's 4,543 words in the U.S. Constitution. And it was crafted under the guidance and insight of one of the most brilliant men who ever lived, Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson was not a Christian. Thomas Jefferson despised the New Testament. And he knew that Paul was a fraud and wrote that Paul was a fraud. And he was vehemently opposed to a central bank, which America has, and to a standing military, which America has. But the fact of the matter is, for those who want to say that America is a Christian country, and if you have a different belief or no beliefs, you don't belong here. Fact is that America was not founded as a Christian country. And there's no mention of Christianity anywhere in the U.S. Constitution.
Yeah.
This is absolutely true. God would agree with this. Force kids into religion is child abuse. Whether it's Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, or Marxism, it is child abuse, and it is prevalent. God's statement against it is that in the second statement that he etched on the first of two tablets, he told us that under no circumstances should we be religious. We shouldn't be surrounded by religious imagery, go to a religious place, speak on behalf of religious gods, and that his concern was that fathers would corrupt their children to the third and fourth generation into being religious, and that that would cost them any access to the covenant and to his mercy. So God is resolutely anti-religious. And that is the thing that most people have no concept of. But when you read the Torah, every act of religion is God is opposed to. And in the 10 statements, the first 3 are, don't be religious. Yahweh is my name. I'm not a Lord. I'm one who emancipated you. Yeah, if you will not continue to exist with other gods in my presence, don't be religious is the longest one. And there is no forgiveness for those who negate the value of my name, Yahweh, which all religions do. So God would be right and total agreement with this. He is anti-religious.
Yeah, Hashem likes his religion. The Lord likes his religion, and Jebus doesn't have anything to say. So,
yes. Jesus Christ is the most masculine man that ever lived. And they always show him with little pasty white hands and little skinny fingers. If he was, okay, what did he build? What did he write? What did he do?
Who did he fight?
Who did he fight? Who did he defend? What? If he's the most masculine of men, where were his calluses? Where is anything that you could attribute to masculinity? And why is he always pictured as being this prissy little thing in white robes? No. Here's the reality. He never existed. He is a con job. There isn't any eyewitness account of him, not one. And all of the big doings that you claim happened, none of them is recorded in a single text apart from your religious texts. And the earliest of your religious text that claims to report on his life was written 40 years afterwards by two guys that were the devotees of a man who admitted that he was demon possessed. So
I was trying to see these pictures.
No eyewitnesses. Even those two texts were written by people who were not there. They weren't even in the same country at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the last two were written around 100 CE. So that's 3 generations after the fact. No, you got nothing. You have no eyewitnesses, and you have no independent verification of any kind. And everything you say is completely contrary to reality. You got nothing. It is the biggest piece of shit ever conceived.
I was looking at these pictures in the background. I guess these are their ideas of masculinity. And we have Moshe smashing tablets. I believe that is up there. I don't know what these two are dancing down here in the bottom left-hand corner, so I don't see any of Jeebus didn't do any of those things that they were even considering masculine. I mean, the Moshe tablet.
No, and Moshe was not an exemplar of masculinity, nor was Moshe an exemplar of God. Moshe was the man that Yahweh chose to use because he was specifically raised for that particular purpose. He was already anti-religious and anti-political and knew the mess, but Moshe was not masculine. He did not have any sense of stubbornness or resentfulness or drive or consistency. Every time there was a problem, he did a face plant.
He killed the taskmaster.
Rather than stand up to the people and said, God, you just ought to kill me. When before even the first sign and the first plague emerged, he said, God, you're an utter failure. I resent you even asking me to do this. Go away. Leave these people alone. Leave me alone. That's him before the first plague. And he doesn't get 3 days out of Choreb, and he's telling God to kill him and condemning God. So no, he is not a symbol of masculinity. And Jesus is a symbol of how easy it is to fool the majority of people. And if you think that God was a man, you got a wee little God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why did God decide to kill Jesus? To clear the world's sin instead of killing Satan to end the sin? Wow. First of all, God didn't kill Jesus. I did. It was my job to kill Jesus. And I did.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I was really, really, really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
Got 5 volumes right here. Killing Jesus. Could have been, instead of calling it Christianity, could have called it Killing Jesus. I absolutely destroy every myth associated with Jesus. Killed him. Now do it again. So you can't blame Jews for killing Jesus. I killed him. Fact. Not opinion. Fact. Go read those 5 volumes and see if you don't agree. You write me a letter after you've written those 5 volumes and you tell me that I wasn't the first person to kill Jesus. And that I left no stone unthrown.
Yes. Comprehensive is the word.
Yes, comprehensive assassination of the myth of Jesus. Now, those are cute little eyes. I did a really nice job. But guess what, sweetheart? Satan can't be killed. Satan is a spirit. Spirits can't be killed. And Satan's not responsible for sin. And sin is a meaningless concept. It's revolt. It's perversion. It's corruption. It's leading astray. And it's idiots that promote religion that do that kind of thing. So, sweetheart, you're guilty of it. Will likely die as a result of it.
And Satan,
Nothing you say is
meaning
true.
Hasatan, the adversary, it's a job. Why would
Satan,
y'all remove?
Satan, it's his job. He was programmed to do exactly what he did. To fool nincompoops. It was easy. So, no, Satan actually did what he was programmed to do. Yahweh created him for that purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And why? Because God doesn't want nincompoops to spend eternity with him. So he's going to give the nincompoops things to believe that will lead to nincompoopery.
Mm-hmm. Nincompoopery.
Nincompoopery.
Foology and buffoonery. That's it.
Yeah.
Expanding the lexicon of religiosity,
yes.
aren't we?
Here's Calvin. Calvin was wrong about everything. Predestination is just mind-bogglingly stupid. And when God wants to judge a nation, he sends wicked rulers. Well, but Mr. Calvin, excuse me, Mr. Calvin, have you ever read the book of Romans? The founder of your religion, Mr. Shaul Paul, he says that all governments are sent by God and they're sent by good. And he wrote it to the Romans, of course, who destroyed the temple and massacred Jews, which Paul must define as good. So Paul says that all rulers are sent by God, and you're claiming you're speaking for the God of the religion that was created by Paul, and you want to now say that when God wants to judge a nation, he sends wicked rulers. Well, you're in direct conflict with the founder of your religion. You ought to think things through there, pal, or are we just predestined to say stupid stuff?
Yeah. Right.
Nincompoopery.
Mm-hmm. Devil made me do it, right?
Yeah, devil made me do it. Nincompoopery. I'll do one more here this morning. I'm pretty pleased I was able to do 2 hours of this today, considering yesterday I didn't know if I was going to be around to do any more of these. I was ready to check out and say, y'all take it from here. I'll see you on Shabua. I gave my wife the name and access to my investment banker. Says you'll need this name, so I repeat it like 4 or 5 times. But I'm happy to check out. She says, "No, you're not. No, you're not." Yeah, I think so. No, you're not. No, you're not. But here we are. Boy, everything hurts though. When I laugh, oh my goodness. Yeah, so everything still hurts. Anyway, let's see what the next nincompoopery has to say here. Oh yeah, there we go. That's some nincompoopery. Propaganda. This is propaganda. And so they want to take Comey, who I don't like very well. I think Comey was a misled fellow. Barack Obama was a Marxist and had no qualifications other than he was quite articulate as a Marxist. And Hillary Clinton is pure evil. I knew her, my wife knew her, I knew her husband also, and she's pure evil. So I don't like any one of the three of them at all. But I will tell you that the current cast is literally Satan, and they are establishing the Fourth Reich, and they are destroying America and the world. By the way, George Washington, he's no hero either. He was guided almost entirely by Freemasonry. Every one of his generals was a Freemason leader. He wanted to be called Your Majesty. He was so wholly unqualified for that job. He lost every battle. And the only reason they prevailed in the end is because Jefferson convinced the French to show up, and they blockaded the British. And even in the War of 1812, it wasn't the army that this nincompoop created, Mr. Call Me Your Majesty. It was independent farmers and militia that saved America in Boston. So you can take all four of them and trash them as far as I'm concerned. And the very people that are are promoting this are far worse, the MAGAites. And you know who creates these images for the Trumpian, Mr. Dumpster? Eva Braun. Yeah, Eva Braun. Yep. Eva Braun is that blonde that is so far up Trump's tuchus that she is the creator of all of the graphics that Trump uses to present himself, wrapped in the flag and as the Pope and you name it.
There was a doctor the other
recently
day.
had a picture on the recommissioned Air Force One. She's standing beside KKK Barbie. On the other side of KKK Barbie is Goebbels, Stephen Miller. This is really an evil gathering of goons, and their technique is purely propagandist, and propaganda is an art form, and they're masters at it. To be successful in propaganda, the first thing is you have to realize is that you must repeat every lie. How many times has Trump said he's won the war against Iran? How many times has Trump said I'm the greatest president ever? Trump repeats every lie over and over and over again, and then doubles down on them and triples down on them. And that is how you prevail in propaganda. But more than that, to prevail in propaganda, you can't ever let up. You can never relent on your lies. So you rule by chaos theory, which is that tomorrow's lie will distract people from yesterday's lie. So those who would accuse the propagandist of lying yesterday are distracted by today's lie. And so it's this tsunami of ever encroaching lies that causes the propagandist to prevail. Trump is a master of the first two. Repeat the lie and create a new lie for tomorrow to distract people from the lie of yesterday. The third is to bypass intellect and to associate these lies with imageries that people think are important and hold dear. Military flag, national symbols. And so Trump is constantly associating his delusions, his confabulations with symbols. He will lie in front of Mount Rushmore. He will lie in front of the Washington Monument. He is a master of associating his lies with the things that Americans believe are valuable to them. And that's the essence of propaganda. Now, there is a fourth strain of this tactic that is essential, and that is that there must be, for some way to be a successful propagandist, the fourth stroke is to make it essentially impossible for someone to oppose the source of propaganda, to devour them, to eviscerate them, to publicly humiliate them, such that you cause people to cower, which is the case of the Senate and Congress of the United States. That's the position of the media. They're so afraid of being sued and eviscerated by this man that they're essentially frozen by him. And you have a state like Minnesota where you had the two people, Petty and Pretty is the name, and Good, who were both murdered by ICE agents, and they won't bring the ICE agents to trial. Petrified of him. And so those are the four aspects of propaganda. Trump is a master at all of them. He isn't good at much, but he's very good at this. He repeats his lies. He has a new lie for every day. He wraps his lies in symbols that people hold dear, so there's an emotional attachment rather than a cerebral assessment of the lies, and he makes it such that anyone who does not capitulate is eviscerated. The 1, 2, 3, 4. And there you got a foursome. Got a full house. Congratulations, people. This is your lie. All right, sir. I think we have done it. That's 2 hours and 4 minutes of the vlog on the vlog. As I say, we're hoping that Leah can put together. I've seen elements of it. It's a very different look. What it does is to say that Yahweh chose a voice for this time, and it is exposing Yahweh's voice at this time to warn Israel of what is impending and what the consequence is going to be for all that they have done that's wrong, to warn the world that the propagandist that promoted this is Satan in the flesh, and that the world is not only stewing in lies, but that it is literally destroying itself. Mm-hmm. And so it's a much different approach, very, I think, serious but imagery-rich approach of the job that Yahweh has assigned, and who He's assigned it to is the piece that she's doing. It's very rich in its imagery, and I want it to point to yadayah.com, and I want it to be based upon Yada Yahweh, and she's doing all of that. So that is, and I want it to show Yahweh's primary symbol, the symbol of his luminaries, his menorah, and it's featured throughout. So that's where we're going to be. I don't know if she'll be able to get it to you today or tomorrow, and I know you're the trans guy that will have to work on it a bit, but we'll have that soon. I think we can still do the Kara outro. I think it's cute and everything, but we're going to have a little more serious intro to it. I've loved the Wookiee pieces, probably too much, because I just think I love the Wookiee, and it just does a fun job. And my preference is to try to make light of everything and to find a humorous way to go about it, and to be self-deprecating in a way. And I think that the Wookiee does a beautiful job of that, but I'm sure it's misconstrued. And probably not the right tone going forward now that we're in the time of troubles. So that's something we have to look forward to. So thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Rich, for making this possible. Thank you for the transition to X. We will have, I know there's probably another 20 or so posts below this that we can probably do in our next program, and we'll find ways to add to these. It'll become more and more difficult using X, however, because the nature of X is just to dish up whatever you responded to. And what I'm responding to mostly, because there's nothing on X that is right, nothing. So all you get is this onslaught of wrong. And so you're responding to what is wrong by saying this is wrong. And so then all you're going to get is more wrong, and it's going to be in those same venues. That's what it's going to do. And so it's really counterproductive with any length of time. So we're not going to be able to use the X feed very long and have any luck with it. And the only other hope is that I go back and I use X strictly to take a news story, like I did in the first few of these, like the Khomeini that was not from X, that was from an independent news source. But if I take the one on the Israeli politics, that was not from X, that was from an external news source. I think if I take those and we do fewer of them, that'll work as well, and that may be the direction we go.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I just
thank
need
you.
a picture, man.
You just need a picture to post to put it there, and it worked really well. I think this is the Vlog on the Vlog is a nice name. It's a nice concept. I think the story works well. We can weave in both aspects of our job, which is to condemn lies and to profess the truth. We get to do both in this format. So I like it from that point of view, and it creates a very spontaneous, impromptu version of this, where you see an image and you get to comment on it and whatever a poster may have said in ways that people have never thought of before, and hopefully, occasionally we're going to find somebody that responds. My biggest issue with X is I went on X. I made over 30,000 posts on X. And my purpose of being on X was singlefold. I wanted to wake Israel up to the time of troubles that was coming, and to the reality that Trump was the person known to Christians as the Antichrist. He's Satan incarnate, and that he was going to betray them, and that their leadership was betraying them, and that they were being counterproductive in their attacks on Iran and on Gaza, and that these things were going to destroy the Israeli state that I care so much about. And I wanted to get their attention and to get them to return to Yahweh, to embrace his name, to come to appreciate that Dod is his son and the Messiah and the returning king. And after 30,000 posts, you know how many Yehudim and Israelites responded favorably?
As Woodrich say, two? There was two.
Yeah, maybe. So it's they're just not ready.
And by positively, you mean they just didn't say, "No, you're wrong. We hate you," right? That's what you mean by
whatever.
Yeah.
We're not counting those because that's 99.99%.
Yeah. So they're just not ready to listen yet. They're not open-minded. So far down the path that they have chosen for themselves that they're surrounded by religious and political lies. They're just not ready to listen yet. But we're going to continue to hammer away. That's why we went to the website and away from social media. We're hoping that Rich gets the site back up on Facebook. We'll never use it again, but he gets it back up. And we'll figure out a way to make X, which is also a swamp, at least work for the purpose of this program. So thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Leah, for creating the new intro. And look forward to being with you. We'll try to do a show this evening if the body and mind hold out. I may need a little more time to recover, but we'll see. We'll try to do our best to get a program out today on the luminaries. And then we will be back with the vlog on the blog tomorrow morning. Thanks so much.
Hey there, thanks for tuning in. That was Fetch. Gotta run now. Catch y'all on our next podcast.